What is up, my nerds? Welcome back. 3 years ago, I don't know what the timeline is anymore, but before Stego, Hipsy, and Carno were added, all we had in Evrima were Omni, well, back then it was Utah, Tenanto, and Dryo. And then along came 1.8 ton Carno, Hipsy, and Stego, and already you can see quite the massive weight gap. They kind of only added Stego as like a little treat, like, hey, here you go, it's done, you know, we may as well add it, here you guys go. And at first we were like, whoa, cool, sick, this is awesome. Yeah, and then over time, this snowball of like hatred has just grown so large for Stego. Hate for Stego is like this uncontrollable storm now. Pretty much every player in the game hates Stego. For Christ's sake, the devs hate Stego. Stego players hate Stego. Who the hell does not hate Stego at this point? Despite all this hate, we somehow get buff after buff for Stego. Stego is just constantly getting pimped out with new buffs and abilities. And speaking of getting pimped out, you guys should totally check out my store. I'll leave a link in the comments. I drop new shit every Sunday. Every hoodie is a custom skull from a different dinosaur. And if you don't see a dinosaur on here that you want, you can always feel free to reach out to me on my Discord server. And then maybe I'll make a new hoodie with your favorite dinosaur on it. So yeah, go please check it out. Super cool. But back to Stego. So let's go over what's going on with Stego. Why is it getting buffed? Why did it get the new tail attack? Stego was so strong before. With the new tail attack and the current roster, it is just unstoppable. I've even seen Stegos just dog on Shrikes in the current Horde test. He's just a monster. But Stego has no competition. Because of how herbivore diets work right now, herbivores don't really need to be aggressive with each other. I think that might start to change with Triceratops because of how much food Triceratops consumes. It literally just inhales entire migration zones. It's really insane. But why did they give Stego the new tail attack before Aloe and Rex even drop? I really like the new Stego attack. It's pretty cool. But what was the purpose of adding it without the introduction of carnivores that it actually needs to use the tail attack on? You could argue it was for testing purposes, but there wasn't really a dedicated horde test for the Stego attack. They just kind of added it. It still has no reason to have the attack right now. So I'm just waiting for Aloe and Rex to change that. Stego getting that attack just made people hate Stego so much more than they already do. And this is kind of unrelated, but also related in some way. I don't know if this was like intentional, but if we go way back to the Stego concept art, you can notice quite a few drawings in the Stego concept art where you kind of look at it and go, why is Stego getting dogged on in his own concept art? One of the very few concept arts where I'm looking at and it's just like, wow, this playable is just getting shit on. There was a couple more where I'm like, oh wow, this playable is just kind of like fodder. Parasaurolophus kind of gets fucked up in his and he's just running away, but like that's his whole thing is running away, that's fine. But Stego, you have one picture where it's just getting mauled by raptors on the floor, getting like torn to shreds, alive by the way. And then if you look somewhere at the top, it's just a carnivore running away with one of its kids and the Stego's trying to chase him. Stego is just facing every single crime in the book. That just shows me that maybe the devs have some sort of hidden vendetta against this animal. They really wanted to put out there that this animal just is undeserving of life. Dondi has admitted himself that he hates Stego. Unfortunately, I do not have the screenshot for it, but I have seen it, I can promise you. The devs do not like Stego either. But Stego's nature and just overall personality in this game right now, he's an absolute monster. The players that kind of gravitate towards playing Stego are usually very murderous and bloodlusted as well, which is really funny because you go from the concept art of Stego and it's just Stego getting dogged on half the time, and then you go into the game, everything that was depicted in the concept art for Stego is what Stego is doing to other animals. You have Stegos picking off little kids and poking them like meatballs on a stick, and then you have Stegos chasing everything else in the game, trying to swing them like a golf ball. And when the Stego players are finally done with their life of rage and torment, they usually just walk themselves off a cliff or into a lake where they can drown. The only two options for Stego players are either genocide or suicide. There is no in between. There is no peace, there is no love, there is no sympathy, no mercy, only murder to other people or themselves. But maybe, just maybe, when Rex and Aloe drop, then maybe we'll get a redemption arc for for Stego and the people that play it. That is a very hopeful statement, but I hope we see it. Because with the addition of Aloe and Rex, Stego won't be shitting on everything anymore. Aloe is obviously going to have a hard time taking down a Stego. Aloe is just under half the weight of a full-grown Stego. Of course it's going to have a bit of a hard time, but I would not be surprised if a solo Aloe can relatively safely take down a solo Stego. As of right now, a pretty skilled Cerato can take down a Stego by himself if you're just like weaving in and out, baiting tail swings, getting headshots on him. But with Aloe's grapple ability, you're gonna have a couple Aloes grabbing onto one Stego and just bringing him to the ground. Very similar to how Omni's grapple works right now, where if you have enough Omnis grappling a target, then the entire animal gets pinned. Aloe is going to have a pretty much one-to-one mechanic. Aloe's feet are going to be touching the ground. He's not going to be like standing on the side of whatever he's grabbing. Keep in mind, this is a 2.4 ton animal, just about. So I am hoping when Aloe and Rex drop that Stegos will kind of be put in their place, and the Stego players that just want to murder everything will kind of migrate to a different animal where they can do so. So the Stego players that you actually have left are the pleasant herbivore players that kind of want to indulge in that natural, like, defensive playstyle. So maybe in the future, when you look a Stego in the eye, he just doesn't go into this fit of murderous rage. But I can very easily see the community's perspective on Stego take a complete 180 with the release of the new larger carnivores that they're adding. And I don't know if this is still planned. It's probably not, depending on how Rex and Trike go. But there were quite a few talks between the developers and the community of just completely disabling Stego on official servers. The same goes for Trike and Rex. Pretty much every large creature is gonna get completely disabled, except for Deinosuchus, because he's kind of locked to the water, so it's not really too much of a detrimental threat to the entire ecosystem. But anything Stego and then larger is just gonna get completely disabled on officials and then available to unofficial servers to enable if they feel like it. But that is not confirmed. Willing to bet the developers have completely changed their mind. They're probably gonna drop Trike and Rex on officials and then keep Stego in. What I thought they were gonna do in the first place was disable Stego after they kind of tried out its new tail swing and realized it was like way too powerful. So we'll just like kind of take it out until Rex and Trike come in. But Stego is still very selectable on official servers right now. So I am very much curious on what they plan to do with Stego and the upcoming Apexes, because it's still kind of in the air whether we're actually getting them on official or not. So I guess that's one thing we're gonna have to wait to see until the horde test is over, or the devs actually give us like a solid answer. I'm actually a little bit worried Stego might be a little bit too underpowered when Rex and Aloe come out, because Aloe is gonna be able to outrun Stego by a lot. And I imagine with Rex's ambush ability, even Rex's base speed honestly might be able to outrun a Stego. I'm not really sure, because Rex is not a slow animal by any means. Rex is a very fast creature even without its ambush ability. So I guess that's all gonna depend on how its stam is gonna work. Like, is it gonna just drain its stam when it's in ambush mode, or just like running in general? That's how it worked in Legacy. Rex could only run for a few seconds, then its stamina was just completely drained, and then you were forced to sit down to gain any stamina. You cannot get stamina from trotting in Legacy. So I'm really wondering, besides the new attack they gave Stego that we already have, I really want to know if they plan on giving Stego another attack. Maybe even a defensive stance or any other ability. Because from the dev blog and what the devs have been saying, Kentro, a much smaller Stegosaur that is coming to the game very soon, and when I say very soon, I mean maybe within the year. Everything's pretty much in the air right now, especially with how long the horde test is taking. We might get Kentro next year, we'll see, I don't know. All of the animals they're adding have a lot more abilities, mechanics, and just overall hidden stat differences. Like Cerato has a charge bite, and on top of that, Cerato has like armor when he's above 50% health. On top of that, he gets a corpse defense buff when in the proximity of a body. And on top of that, Cerato has a bacteria mechanic where he can make people puke. And then compare that to the older creatures like Carno, all he has is a charge. There are some animals like Tenonto that came out like a very long time ago now. Tenno has plenty of attacks right now. I don't think he's really outdated compared to some of the others. Tenno is in a perfectly good spot. Obviously every animal has their alt attack, but overall mechanic wise, Stego is in a very dry spot. So with Kentro and Baryonyx being said to get a defensive mechanic, a completely different stance and mode that they can enter, I wonder if Stego will be getting the same treatment. Obviously not anytime anytime soon, but maybe in the future. A bunch of creatures have been promised to be getting makeovers in the future. Pteranodon is getting his makeover right now. Pteranodon's not even playable in the Horde test. They're overhauling him big time. Herrera is getting new climbing, quality of life changes, and Deinosuchus is supposed to be getting a vertical lunge. I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. So with all these changes, I just kind of hope that Stego doesn't really get left in the dust. It's not like the worst animal in the world. It really is just the players that play Stego that are the core issue here. Of course, Stego's abilities kind of enable that behavior. In the future, I don't think Stego will be that bad when Rex and Owl come out. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Like I said, check out my store. And by the way, 10k subs, I'll make an OnlyFans. I'll leave my links in the description. And yeah, that's it. Peace. I'll see you.